Hey, Sun Devil fans, Brad Denny with 3TV, CBS 5, and the Speak of the Devils podcast here. Welcome back to another episode of the Speak of the Devils Sitdown Series, where I bring you in-depth one-on-one conversations with key players, coaches, and other figures within Sun Devil athletics. Seems like just yesterday that Shaun Aguano's Chandler Wolves were dominating Arizona high school football. But believe it or not, this will be his 6th season as Arizona State's running backs coach. And while it has been a productive half-decade so far, this 2024 season promises to be Aguano's deepest group of backs yet. On this episode, Shaun and I discuss the challenges and opportunities from a tough 2023 season, his growth as a coach at the college level, how local relationships are coming along, the Poly pipeline into Tempe, how he's going to manage such a deep and diverse group of running backs in 2024, and so much more. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation with Shaun Aguano. All right, Coach, so it's the talk of college football right now, even though fall camp's just a couple days away. The new video game is out, so I was curious, though. So what do you think Linfield College running back Shaun Aguano's highest ratings, like what categories would he be highest rated in the game?
Should probably be really low there, Brad. I get you. I really don't play that game. My son plays it, but if it was for me, I don't know how they rate it. It probably up to 100, probably be 60s, 70s, probably around there.
Which categories do you think you'd be best at? What was some of the strengths of your game back in your playing days?
Probably because I was a bigger back, probably a power back, and looking for contact. I love that, and was quick enough, was fast enough, but wasn't elite at anything.
So it seems like, a lot of the guys are having fun with it. And of course, Coach Kenny a few weeks ago had the nice little prank that everybody seems to have fun with, and all in good fun there. And I think that, it seems to be that, just another sign of the culture of this team heading into year two, just everybody knowing the expectations and kind of having the foundation already laid. What's your read on how the culture has evolved, going from year one of the program now to year two, where you have a nice group of returners to help set that foundation for you?
I truly believe, successful programs have continuity with the roster and with the staff, and learning from each other, knowing what to expect. The success rate, I think, for those schools, as you can see in college football, are tremendous. And this being our second year, guys are more comfortable. They know what to expect, and their expectations, I think, are higher this year than it was just with the uncomfortability of not knowing what was expected last year.
So, of course, with fall camp just a couple of days away, the Coach Joe's offseason strength and conditioning program's winding down. When you look at just kind of your group of running backs, where have you seen kind of collectively the biggest strides and biggest impacts from the last couple of months of work?
I think from a maturity and mental aspect, these last couple of months, and Coach Joe does an incredible job in regards to getting those guys ready, and his discipline and his accountability for them. And so when they get to our practices in spring and then in summer, I think the mental aspect, because he's so tough on them in the weight room, helps out a lot. I've seen growth with the backs that have been here, and they're bringing along the younger backs because of that maturity, and that was great to see.
So, of course, obviously with the players, there's no offseason. There's hard work during these summer months, and same goes for coaches on the staff as well. But I know you were able to kind of get out and during the limited time and get a chance away from football, unwind, get out of the country. How was your offseason? You get a chance to kind of recharge?
Absolutely, and we report tomorrow, so I'm so excited, and going in my 6th year, it just brings more and more excitement the longer we go, because I know Coach Dillingham is doing an incredible job turning this program around. But we did have a chance to go to Switzerland and Italy with my wife and my two older kids. And we went for 15 days, and it was just incredible, just spending time with my older kids. I think we didn't take my younger kids because they didn't want to go, and I don't know why. But, they're too engaged in their phones and friends right now. But we had an incredible time.
I might have to hit you up for some tips, because my wife and I were thinking just kind of northern Italy, Switzerland, Austria, kind of that area. So I might have to hit you up here, next year when we make those plans. You want to go back a little bit to last year. Did you ever go through a season prior that even maybe was half as weird, all the twists and turns? I mean, obviously you had a guy in your room taking starts at quarterback.
Yeah, from a depth standpoint, that was probably the worst that I've seen in my coaching career. Just trying to field a team that was competitive on the field was tough. Those guys played really hard. I thought Coach Dillingham did a great job getting those guys playing last year. Our depth in our rooms are incredible this year from what we saw last year, and I think Coach Arroyo and Coach Dillingham have done an incredible job installing what we are doing on an offense, and I feel that we're going to be pretty productive this year.
Going through the challenges and everything that last year threw at the program, what kind of lessons did you take away from that? Having going through that adversity with your guys.
It is that word right there, adversity and grit, and getting up when things are not going well, and moving forward every single day. I think that brought the most excitement from those guys, that knowing from last year that we couldn't go any less, and we're just moving forward this year.
How did you see the guys kind of handle that, adversity? And among the guys that are coming back this year, how do you think that prepared them, going through those difficulties to be stronger going forward into the future?
No, I've seen a huge maturity in especially the older group, the leadership committee, the seniors taking a role, making sure that the young guys are accountable, because I don't think anybody wants to go what we went through last year.
So obviously, it was a year of difficulty and adversity, but also some good moments there. When you look back on 2023, what were some of your favorite moments from the experience?
A couple was beating UCLA, doing things unconventionally, but just seeing those guys fight throughout the year, and they know our hands are tied behind our back a little bit with depth, but just seeing those guys fight, and then come January, jumping right in, and the excitement in the weight room, and I know they're chomping at the bit right now because they report tomorrow, and we'll see how this whole thing goes. But the competition at a lot of the rooms, the depth in a lot of the rooms will help out on both sides of the ball, on offense and defense, and then athletes on the special teams.
So, of course, a young coach making his debut as leading a program on his own for the first time is going to be challenging enough. And then everything that was thrown at Sun Devil football season ago, just kind of added to the difficulty and the kind of the learning curve. How did you see Kenny in that first year at the helm kind of navigate those very difficult waters and everything that was kind of thrown at the program that was kind of beyond your guys' control?
It's when you get hired in that situation, I think it's kind of unfair. I think he has done an incredible job. I think it's a learning process, not only for the assistant coaches, but for him himself, and trusting the coaches and the roster and the support staff and all of that. But his energy, when he walks into the facility, breeds success. I think that, his consistency, his want to be good, is there every single day, and we have to make sure that we live up to that energy. And I think our staff gets along really well and works really hard. And so over the years, I think this is going to be a dominant program.
So as a veteran coach and somebody who went through a difficult experience, when taking over in mid-season as in an interim capacity, and that's very difficult in its own right. Having those experiences, what kind of things did you and perhaps the other veteran coaches in there, help Kenny along, and just kind of sharing your experiences and collaboration and those collaboration aspects to help get the Sun Devils through that year?
We've probably 5 or 6 former head coaches on the staff, and Kenny does a good job taking suggestions from the coaches, because they've been in situations with adversity and trying to help him along. But he's an incredible leader, and those situations, being a head coach, we understand the position that Coach Dillingham is in, and I think it gives us a broader view of what we need to do as assistant coaches to help Coach Dillingham as well.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, you're heading into your 6th season with the Sun Devil program. Time certainly flies. How have you grown from your time at the college level? How do you see Coach Aguano now versus Coach Aguano 5 years ago?
Coming in from the high school and being a little successful, I guess, thinking you know it all. I've had the pleasure to sit back and learn from a couple of coordinators, from Marvin Lewis, and just different ways of doing things in the program. I'm very, very comfortable with the position that I'm coaching, and anything that I can help with. Being a former play caller as well, so I understand the grand scheme of things, and just the trustworthiness within the staff. I have learned to coach your position, do the best that you can, and then work with the staff that we have. And there's always going to be turnover, but hope there's continuity with the staff. And I think that it's a great staff to be on.
So, what advice would today's Shaun Aguano give the Shaun Aguano first taking the job, setting foot in that building on day one as a Sun Devil coach?
Sit back, listen, enjoy every moment. Sometimes you get to a point where you're trying to do so much as a young guy, trying to learn everything, and not enjoy the moments of playing in Sun Devil Stadium, of enjoying your room. I think that because there's so much anxiety and pressure to succeed, instead of enjoying it, right now I'm enjoying every single bit of it.
So, of course, when the Kenny took over, Activate the Valley was the rally cry, and now heading into year two, it seems like there's a lot of progress. Obviously, with the new athletic director, it seems that there's a renewed focus and renewed energy, and Activating the Valley, getting the fan base, the business community coming along and supporting Sun Devil athletics. From your vantage point, as somebody who's been dialed into this area for so long now, how do you feel Activating the Valley is going in year two?
I think it's going fantastic. I think Gramercy is going to do an incredible job as an athletic director. Coach Kenny's out there pounding the streets, looking for donors, and we all know that we have to provide a good product on the field, and that's our job from an assistant coach. Coach Kenny handles the media, the PR, the fundraising part. We have to do our job as staff and assistant coaches, making sure that we put a good product on the field that makes everybody excited. And that's the biggest thing, Brad, I think, is winning. And that's for us. The more you win, the more excitement, the more it helps with recruiting, helps with everything else. And so that's our job for the next couple of years, is to win.
Of course, another aspect has been kind of strengthening those local relationships with the high school community. Obviously, yourself, Coach Mons, Regal, even Kenny Dillon himself, amongst others in that building, have those local ties. How do you feel that those relationships are coming along, and with the the hotbed that is Arizona high school talent?
I think it's again, the product on the field will sell itself. There's always athletes out there that are transient families that are not from here, and they wouldn't want to go home. Some want to leave the state because of weather, just different things. But I think building relationships with the staff that we have, and building strong relationships and winning, will help us keep the top-notch kids within the state.
The one area that ASU has had great success recently on the recruiting trail is, with the Poly Pipeline. A lot of good, very talented guys are coming in to the program or have commitments currently in the 2025 class. What kind of impact do you think that the success with the Poly Pipeline and the growth and expansion and evolution of it will have for Sun Devil football?
I think it's huge. I think there are a lot of talented Polynesian players, as we see in the NFL. Being born and raised on the islands of Hawaii, I know how excited kids are wanting to get off the islands to play big-time football, especially at a place where they feel comfortable with poly connections that are around the city and community. I think Coach Saga Tuatele is doing an incredible job with his network. Coach So'oto is doing a great job. And I think Coach Dillingham has empowered us to bring Polynesian players to the Sun Devils. And I think it's going to be incredible because they understand what family truly is. And I know Coach Dillingham is big on that part of it, is the family.
Before we talk about fall camp, I want to get some thoughts on spring ball. And now, looking at those 15 practices, what were the biggest gains made collectively by the running back group during spring practices?
I think the understanding of what I'm asking from a standpoint from expectations. I think the install of a new offense was big, and Coach Arroyo has done a great job from a organizational standpoint to implement his offense and the understanding. He's always teaching the whys, and that's something. Being a teacher for 25 years, I understand real well, and so those guys understanding defensive identifications, the reasons why we do plays, the blocking schemes, the protections, all of those things. I think they've grown in that aspect of understanding the football intelligence part mostly.
Speaking of Coach Arroyo, you having that input and that resume that he brings to this offensive side of the football. What kind of schematic changes did you think, or when he put his input and an imprint on this offense? Obviously, you have a lot of very talented and versatile backs. What kind of things in this Marcus Arroyo led offense are fans going to see from your running backs?
I think he's excited about running the football, and that's I love that. And getting athletes on the field. It doesn't matter if it's tight ends or receivers or backfields, but the best 11. And I might be biased, but I think I have a pretty good room in regards to that, and so I want to get as much backs on the field as possible, and we can do three. At the same time. But I'm always pushing and advocating for our backs to be on the field because I think they bring a lot to the table in regards to this offense that Coach Arroyo is running.
And of course, also making the move to the Big 12 and going from one brand of football to another. As you guys get to know, more of what's ahead in terms of being a member of the Big 12 Conference, what jumps out to you most about kind of the brand of football that the Sun Devils are going to be playing starting the season?
I think the physicality of it. You play in the Kansas and Kansas States, the athletic ability of the teams in Texas and South Florida. It brings a wide range of offenses and defenses that we have not seen. So that excitement, just because the unfamiliarity of who we're going to face, different stadiums, and the excitement of football in the Big 12 is exciting for us as well. So. We're going to go game by game and take it on. But I think, and we've been talking about this, being ranked where we are, sometimes that helps because there's no reason why we should be that low.
How is that that newness, going into a new conference, perhaps, change the offseason a little bit? Obviously, in the Pac-12, that every year you're getting the USCs and the UCLAs and so on, and those familiar teams that you guys have a history with. A lot of new that's on the schedule. How is that preparation perhaps impacted this offseason?
I don't think the preparation from a strength and conditioning standpoint and installation is changed. I think because we're unfamiliar with teams, there are going to be more analysis going in probably within the weeks ahead for those teams. But I think our kids are energetic. I think our kids are excited about the newness and unfamiliarity. And because I think people are going to be surprised at how we come out and play football, that toughness that I think this team will bring.
Some new changes that the NCAA has allowed in terms of the helmet communications coming in, sideline tablets, and perhaps maybe one of the more impactful is having some of the other staff members being able to coach these guys on the field and on game day. How is the program kind of embracing these new changes, these technological jumps forward, and perhaps some additional voices that are going to be helping coach these guys up?
It's I think it's an advantage for us because Coach Arroyo has been in the NFL, so he understands that part of it. From a communication standpoint, I think we'll be able to see things firsthand right away. I think it's harder for the defensives, but I think all of these changes are good for football and brings that unfamiliarity. That's going to be the same as everybody else. So it's going to probably take 2 or 3 games to know what to really expect. I think the coaches, the assistant coaches that are now, or staff that are now allowed to coach on the field, will bring development to a higher standard because they can help the younger kids where they're not off to the side and not getting that attention. So I think with the coaches there's so much more eyes on the field and communication with all of the players.
Now, before we dive into some of these guys specifically, just in a kind of collective sense, how nice is it to have kind of a room that has a mix of veteran guys, but also some younger guys in terms of their experience in this game and how those guys are mixing?
I love that room, yeah, and we talk every day about if there's only one back on the field, the competition. You have to come out and practice like you're competing. You never know when your name is going to be called. The good thing about that room, and I've been very fortunate, is that they all get along. They stay after and help each other from an install, especially the younger guys. They're another coach. The older guys are another coach on the sidelines that are helping the younger guys. The hard part about it, Brad, there's only one football, and sometimes there's only one back. And so there's going to be roles that these guys are going to have to play, but they're going to have to be ready to be a starter, because you never know what happens from injury standpoint or anything else. But that's where we go about every single day, talking about working together as a team, the communication standpoint, and then doing your role the best that you can.
So I wanted to, kind of run down those the very talented group of backs that you have, and this is my 14th season covering the team. I can't remember maybe perhaps a single position room on this Sun Devil team that is as deep as maybe this 2024 group of backs, starting with Cam Scadaboo, and even before, talking about the on-field aspect. Kenny's been very effusive in his praise in terms of the off-field strides that Cam has made, and obviously being a representative at Big 12 Media Day. And one of the things that caught me there is like a year ago he wouldn't think that he would be a guy that he would bring and be a representative of the program, but he's made such strides that he was out there in Vegas with us. Where have you seen Cam's greatest off-field gains, and what do you think was kind of the push behind that?
First of all, you put in a lot of pressure on me, telling me this is the best room in 14 years, but hopefully they're produced. But Cam has grown from a maturity standpoint of understanding his role on the team, from an emotional standpoint, how to be a leader. I think that's the biggest growth with him. Understanding that you can play with passion and not be emotional. And he plays very, very hard. He practices hard. He understands this is his last year and his last hurrah. And he's come from a successful program and he wants to win. He has 5 months to prove, and he said it in the interviews at the Big 12, in order for him to get put on the draft board and be a productive back looking at the next level. ASU has to win. And so that's, I think, where he sees himself as being a leader, and his maturity over the last 6-7 months has gone unnoticed by me, and I've praised him for him. There's still kids and guidance and direction every single day. They might fall off the wayside, but it is my job to make sure that they're going in the right direction.
Now, on the field, Cam, in spring looked a lot lighter, quicker. Where have you seen kind of the physical gains and what you're going to get from Scat on the field?
Well, from a physical standpoint, he's stronger. I think he's faster. We talked about him with his long speed, and I think being lighter will help with that, because I always tease him that he got caught once in the game. And so he has gone about watching his nutrition. He looked good in the spring. He's probably about the same weight coming into into fall camp, but he also understands that longevity in the NFL has to make sure that he doesn't take everybody head on sometimes, and we have to make you miss, having the ability to make you miss in space and within the box. And so we've been working on that every single day.
Of course, a guy that you have a long history with, DeCarlos Brooks. Very effective last year, seemed to be when he was healthy, just unfortunately was kind of battling that injury bug a little bit. Where do you see DeCarlos heading into fall camp?
I think he's going to have a huge role. The thing about him being not healthy last year really hurt him, because I thought when he was healthy, he was very, very productive. DeCarlos is a steady back. He'll do everything right, catches the football, blocks real well. So his role on the team is going to be very, very important. We just got to knock on wood and make sure that there's no injuries. And I've had him since he's been 14 years old. And so I understand his competitive level and wanting to win. And so everybody in that room is going to have to play a role sometime.
And then Kaelin Brown, a guy who's making that jump from year 1 to year 2, really seemed to be showing some really impressive strides in spring practices. How do you see Sip heading into fall camp?
Sip, that was his first spring because he came in June, and last year was his first year. I love Sip. Very intelligent. He won the Special Teams Player of the Year last year. He wanted to get on the field, and he got on the field, and he was productive. Now he's had that spring. I think within our room, he was the biggest jump in regards to maturity. The way he goes about practice, the professionalism, his ability on the field. I think he feels more comfortable, and he'll have his shot.
And then Relique Brown showed obviously some of that big home run ability. Also some power in spring. And Kenny just the other day said that his conditioning is much better. He's able to as Kenny said, run more than twice in a row. And so it seems like he's got the physical ability, the game breaking ability, that physicality, and with that versatility. How do you see him being deployed with this offense in 2024?
He's a guy that surprisingly, from a toughness standpoint, can take it between the tackles. His quickness and his long speed. And then he's going to be a problem on the perimeter just because he's going to have to be matched up with, nickel Sams or outside linebackers that are going to try to have to cover him in one-on-one situations. Love his personality. I love the way he goes about every single day, and he's still learning. And he wants it, and he's hungry. I just got done talking with his dad too, and his dad was very happy about his persona when he came home. He was excited and loving football again. So I'm excited for Relique because he is definitely a threat that will help us with this offense.
A couple of newcomers that are bringing some very interesting and intriguing tools to this backfield. Alton McCaskill, a guy pre-injury, was one of the most dynamic young backs in the country. Seems to be healthy, and I believe during the course of the summer won the Speed Demon of the Week award. So it seems like that knee's on the way up. With his ability and kind of experience being highly productive at this level, how does he fit into this group?
I'm very surprised and elated that he's with us in this room. He brings that open speed. He brings that bigness, very similar to Rachaad White. Same kind of stature. He's learning the installs in the playbook. And once he feels comfortable, I think he's going to be a threat. The bad part, again, we only have one football, and so it's going to be my job, to try to keep everybody happy. But they have to understand that their roles. But I'm excited about Alton because he brings so much from an experience standpoint at that level, being freshman of the year and understanding the games. And we're going to be playing against the teams that he played against in the Big 12. And so I'm excited for this fall camp to see what he's going to do. But from a depth chart standpoint, with those five, we are very, very deep, Brad.
Yeah, and not even mentioning the true freshman Jason Brown, a blue chip guy coming from the Pacific Northwest. Maybe some similarities to Kaelin Brown in terms of a guy who didn't come in spring but is coming over the summer. How do you see what kind of role he can carve out for himself in year one?
It's learning the game. He hasn't had pads on in practice, so there's going to be a little learning curve. But his athletic ability, his wanting to learn, he picks up things really well. The heat has gotten into him a little bit coming from the Northwest to the summer of Arizona, but I think he's going to have a good fall camp. It's going to be a learning process for him, but he brings all the tools that we loved watching him play his senior year, and he's going to be explosive too. So I would never count him out because I think he'll be ready to play as well.
You've had tremendous success at Arizona State, and with the guy kind of being that bell cow back, with whether it's an Eno Benjamin, a Rachaad White, Valade, but with such a deep group of running backs, and as you mentioned a couple of times, just one ball. Like what's the ideal kind of division of labor here? How would you like to kind of divide the workload of the Sun Devil ground game?
We always talk about tread on the tires. So we want to make sure that those backs that are carrying most of the load, maybe three backs going in, that they're going to be a menace come the third and fourth quarter. And so The more that they have thread on the tires, the more the energy they have coming in the third and fourth quarter, especially what we think about running the football, is going to be a menace for defenses. So they have to understand, and they do understand that whoever has the hot hand, I always run with the hot hand. And so whoever plays the best, and there's different circumstances and different personnel problems for defense, then we might have two backs on the field. And so, but they understand whoever has the hot hand will be the person on the field.
Now, with so many very talented backs in that room, and as you mentioned, just one football, how do you keep those guys engaged and make sure that they're still, even though they might not be the hot hand at that given time, that they're still an important part of this roster, and maybe like a guy like Kaelin a season ago can contribute on special teams or elsewhere?
And I push Coach Rago, and Coach Rago does an incredible job with our special teams, but I push Coach Rago. Our 5 or 6 guys have to be ready and have to be productive on a special teams. That becomes a team player. I speak to them about longevity at the NFL. They have to be able to play special teams in the NFL to stay on a roster. So I push that as well. With those 5 guys being as versatile that they are, I am never afraid if somebody's down and can't perform 100%, that the next person in line will do the job, because they're all very, very capable of being a starter.
So with fall camp opening up, what are some of the biggest keys that you want to see over the course of fall camp, getting ready for that opener against Wyoming on the 31st, that you want to see from that group to make you confident that these guys are ready to go?
Yeah, it's the mental adversity. I want to see them during fall camp, because fall camp becomes hard. It's the whole day of practice. They have to be in tune. I want to see their professionalism. I want to see when adversity hits, can they stay on an even keel or do they blow up? So I know that they're in great shape. I know they have the ability to do what we ask of them. Now it's the mental capacity. It's the mental adversity. It's all of that stuff that I want to see from them, because when the game gets tough in the season, can I count on them? Can I trust them? And we talk about the trust part. To me, that is absolutely huge. And I have to trust them. They have to trust me, but I have to trust them that they're going to get the job done in the toughest moments. And so that's where we work, I think, as much as anything in fall camp.
Now, with the season, just about a month away, when all is said and done, and you guys are able to look back on this 2024 campaign, what are the things that you need to see happen and to be able to consider 2024 a success for the Sun Devils?
I think Coach Dillingham said it right. Us getting better and better every day, from game to game. I can't predict the win-loss record, but I know when building the program, are we getting better at every aspect of the game? And I think that's a great measurement for us. The wins and losses will come. I can tell you that we'll be competitive in every single game. We have to win the games that we're supposed to win, and we have to win the games that are close in order to get from a mental aspect that winning ways. And so just getting better, and I agree with Coach Dillingham on that. If we can track us getting better every single game, this program is going in the right direction.
I'd like to thank Shaun for taking the time to talk with me for this episode. Make sure you are subscribed to Speak of the Devils on the podcast platform of your choice for Sitdown Series episodes featuring the entire Sun Devil football coaching staff, Athletic Director Graham Rossini, and many more. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at bdenny29.